Hey friends, Leigh Brown here with One Community Real Estate. In my next episode of this cooking show, which still needs a name, and y'all need to give me some suggestions, but some of y'all are highly inappropriate, and so just remember, I have 2 teenagers in my house that I'm trying to raise to be decent humans. Tonight's cocktail, by the way, of course in my great-grandmother's glass, is honeysuckle vodka by Cat Head. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of them before. They're out of Jackson, Mississippi, and on the label it says you're supposed to support live music, so I guess you have to do that right now during the coronavirus on YouTube and Facebook Live, and they don't pay me, by the way, to sponsor them. I saw it in the ABC store and thought it sounded good, and y'all, it's very tasty and very southern. And so what we're making tonight is southern macaroni and cheese. Now, if you know anything about southern macaroni and cheese, we make it in a pan like this because, frankly, you would often carry this over to the church dining hall for a potluck, or to your mother's house or your grandmother's, or you just make a whole bunch because you're trapped at home during coronavirus. And I don't know about y'all, but I make entirely too many visits to the refrigerator, and my whole family will eat this for days, or maybe one day. So what we need so far is a bunch of ingredients I'll show you in a second. And we got the oven going at 350 because pretty much everything cooks at 350. And then we need some uncooked macaroni. I'm using the very famous Harris Teeter brand. And after I've used this box, I will switch to the Lowe's Foods brand in my pantry because I don't believe in store-bought, fancy brands for macaroni. That's one of those y'all can't tell the difference on. Now let me tell y'all a secret about cooking pasta. You might not know this. You need to salt your water, and so I use kosher salt because I like kosher salt better. And so I'm gonna put in the amount that I think is enough, which is about yay much. And so I don't know how much it is, but it looks right. We're gonna throw that in, and dagnabbit, I dropped some, so put some over my shoulder for good luck. Now while the water's coming to a boil and I'll put in my macaroni, what we need to do, what we need to do is in a big bowl, we're gonna mix up all our cheeses. Now, I was so nice and helpful. I'm learning to be a good cook for TV. I pre-grated my Velveeta because Velveeta is what makes it so creamy and smooth. And so if you've ever made homemade macaroni and you wonder why it's all chunky and gross, you obviously did not use Velveeta cheese product. And frankly, anything that's called cheese product is gonna be good. And then we're gonna add 1.5 cups of milk. I use 1% just because that's the one we like. And then we need 1/2 cup of heavy cream. And see, you can tell this is, don't look at when it's chunky like that because that's just how cream does if you didn't shake it real good. Yeah, it's fine. And so we got 1.5 cups of milk, 1/2 cup of whipping cream. And then we're gonna put in, I like cheddar jack and not just cheddar. I don't know why, but we're gonna use the whole bag, which is however much they say it is on the bag, which 2 cups-ish. And then, because we like in this family extra cheesy things, we're not going to waste any of that out of the bag. Let's scooch it out. And that's Publix brand. See, we spread the love amongst our local grocery stores. And now I'm going to put in 2 cups of Colby Jack. And no, there's no special reason that one's a fine grade and one's a regular grade. It just happened to be what was on sale and what was available when I got to the grocery store. But y'all know that Lowe's often runs a buy 2, get 3 free special. So my freezer is often full of cheese because, frankly, how can you ever have too much cheese? It's just not possible. So let's get a nice spatula here. The water's still not boiling. We're just gonna mix up our cheeses with the cream and the milk. And this, y'all, is beautiful right here. That is just nothing wrong with that unless you're lactose intolerant. And if you're lactose intolerant, you might not ever want to come to my house and eat. And if you're a vegan, pretty much the same thing because I feel for y'all. But I guess you have CrossFit if you are a vegan because you people are kind of cultish. But, you know, more power to you. Do your thing. Enjoy it. But please don't ask me to cook like that because it's a sad thing I could not abide by. It could have butter, and I don't think you could live a life without butter. So anyway, we've got that mixed up. And then we're going to put in some seasonings. And I like, again, kosher salt. Now, again, I'm using Morton's. You know, they're fancy. And so we'll put in some, probably a little bit more. Now the salt, y'all know the old adage with salt, right? You can put more in, but you can't take any out. And so I'm generally a little bit more careful with salt than I am with anything else. And something jumped off my hand, so we'll just spish it on out of there. That's just what happens. And we'll get some black pepper. And I like pepper to where I can see it. If you can't see it, you did not put enough pepper in there. And so we'll mix it in, make it nice and speckled up good. Because, you know, macaroni's terrible if it's bland and awful. That's like going to the old folks cafeteria restaurant, which I enjoy going to, full disclosure. But they make everything for their target audience. It don't have much flavor to it. Now, this is my favorite seasoning salt. And I got this when I went to speak to the Hawaii realtors a couple of years ago. They gave me a present of Hawaiian seasoning salt by No Foods of Hawaii. Y'all, this stuff is so stinking good, and it goes with everything. I think it's like the top of an everything bagel, but minus the bagel, and in controllable quantities. So stinking good. Now, y'all can add paprika or sage or whatever you're interested in, extra garlic. This one has like garlic and onion and pepper in it. So good. I have to buy it online now because I haven't been to Hawaii in a while, but if you're following me and you're a realtor, you can visit with me in Hawaii in 2021 if they ever let us travel again. So now it says, see if you're content with the taste. Nope, needs more seasoning. Because remember, you can add it in, but you can't take it out. So let's mix some more of that in. It's pretty good though. Mix it up good. It's gonna need a little more pepper. And we're gonna need to see how that looks. Now this is what you're dealing with. See, you just stir in milk, cream, and cheese and seasonings until you're happy with it. That's about good. A little bit more salt. Look, y'all, I did my little dance and the cat came walking over here like I'm fixing to give her some of this. Not happening. But if the camera shakes, it's not my fault. It's the cat was already rubbing up against the tripod one time. All right, now we're gonna add eggs. You need 2 eggs in there. And look how the Lord intended me to make macaroni and cheese today. What? There's 2 eggs left in the container. Did not even plan that out. See, the cat. And what I'm doing here is adding 2 eggs. And full disclosure, I washed my hands several times before I started cooking in my own kitchen. So don't be judgy and hateful. In fact, just don't be judgy and hateful in life, people. Y'all just gonna have to love a little more and keep your mouth shut a little more, I reckon, sometimes. All right, so now that's ready and all combined up. So let's check on our water. Still not boiling. I wasn't even looking and it's not boiling. Let me get my towel, wipe my hands off here. And tell y'all that I hope you had a wonderful day and you know that you can be cooking at home too, because it's so much less expensive than eating out. This dinner is going to cost us about, well, because I buy my cheese with buy 2 get 3 free, that cost about $3 and then a couple of eggs, so a little bit of money, a little bit of Velveeta, and the box of macaroni. I mean, you're talking like, what, $6-7 by the time you factor in that you're just using little bits of different things. Now, I'm not going to get my Crisco out to butter my macaroni pan. I know, right? But I use Crisco for bacon. But I'm going to spray it down because I like to reuse my aluminum foil pans. I don't know if the rest of y'all were raised like that. My mother always had a Ziploc bag drying on the spigot at the sink because we reuse Ziploc bags and everything else because we often were not full of extra things growing up. And when you grow up farm life, you make do with what you have. And so I'm spraying mine down and it'll be used as many times as I can reuse it. I just sprayed it with some butter Pam. And then as soon as the macaroni is cooked, I'm gonna dump it in my dish and I'm gonna pour my cheese on top. And then I'm gonna bake it at 350 for 35 minutes, maybe 40. And it needs to be a little jiggly when it comes out of the oven. And so when you take it out of the oven, if it is still and sad, you may have just completely overcooked it. You want a little bit jiggly because as it cools off, it'll firm up. And then eat it whenever it won't burn the roof of your tongue. Now, I hope y'all will enjoy your baked macaroni and cheese. If you can think of a good name for my TV program about cooking, I think you should let me know and we'll name something after you sometime. Otherwise, tune back in, go take care of your neighbors, and we'll see you next time.